valuable a win here for Okami would be. Not only because of their opponent they're facing now and the amount of points they would have, but because of the schedule they've had prior to this. They've had arguably the toughest schedule so far of anybody in Group A, playing the two strongest teams, Aerial Arise and One Shot, taking them both to overtime, securing that 8-7 victory over Aerial Arise and losing 8-7 to One Shot. So these are two incredible teams. They take them both to overtime. I'd say they're looking really good for this matchup. Yes, I believe in the England system as well, like CJ said, but they have proven, Okami have proven, that they can really hang with some of these powerhouse teams so far. Now, as we conclude our bans here, the Thatcher and the Maverick, nothing really worth talking about there on Oregon. Pretty standard stuff. It does leave up the Habana, which is always something worth noting. But the defensive ban, that Mira being taken off the board, something we see every time. The Kaid as well. Nothing crazy there. The only thing that really means is your Flores is still in play if you want to bring him out and utilize those Rotero drones. And it means on the defensive side, you've got that Wamai, you've got that Aruna, you've got that Jaeger, you've got all of that projectile denial. Combine that with the fact that Valkyrie is still on the board, and we could see some very potent defenses, to say the least.
The thing I'm a little bit worried about for Okami is the entry game. Aqualix are a very proficient entry team on both the defense and the offense because of how far forward they play. Okami, after letting go of Sub, or after Sub left, now while Sub was a fantastic player, topping some of the charts, he was a little bit of a slower entry, right? A second entry, sometimes they call him a baiter. And while Okami have not amended completely their entry woes, they've alleviated it a little bit with Lava and Exile playing a little bit more aggressively as well. Lava, I mean, if there's one thing I know about Gavin Lava Griffiths, is that guy is 6'6", and he ain't afraid of nothing. He will always swing when necessary. Exile as well, we can tell he's been getting a little bit more aggressive, being more proactive in his role, finding more fights, and we are going to need to see that proactive Okami against Aqualix, who are always seemingly somewhere where they shouldn't be, whether it be in a corner on the site that the attackers thought they took, whether it be some random spot off-site that they're just waiting to make a play in. Aqualix are a very, like I said, forward team. So we're going to need that confidence from Okami today if they want to take this win.
Well, we can see Afer trying to this.
I don't think he was supposed to put that there because the hatch is open.
Yeah.
He's trying to pick it back up.
Bit of a misplay there, but shouldn't be too big of a deal, at least initially. You've got a lot of other utility to work with on this site. Pulling out the Echo, of course, instead of that Valkyrie is an interesting decision, but it's a lot of potential in terms of that plant denial. Already, we've got some kills finding their way on the board. 2 of those actually finding their way in Aqualix's hands. That's already going to be Lava and Raffi dead. Your primary and secondary entries are dead within 30 seconds of the round starting. Okami off to a troubling start as Gasher just holding down that top floor, got a couple of kills, and then worked his way back to the site. Afer as well, who got that kill onto Lava on what appeared to be an early spawn peak, or just Lava not checking a corner as he jumped on in the building. But regardless, a fantastic start for Aqualix as they will start up 5-3, really. Just in the early days, forcing these last 3 players on Okami to do a lot of the work that their teammates have left in their hands.
Yeah, I mean, I was literally just highlighting the problems of the entry for Okami, and it seems like that's going to persist. And the 5, but look what they have to walk into. C4 on Gasher and the Echo from England. Plenty of info for those Yokais. I mean, in a 3v5 like this, you'd expect the attack, if they bring it back, to really go down to the wire. And if the Echo is still up, well, he could single-handedly win the round. It's a minute left now as Okami, at least Exile, will try and make his stake in Freezer, but he gets hit by a Guzman, and now they know exactly where he's coming from. Another Elamine goes out onto Web, who's pushing over by Laundry, and Sonar will deviate from the pack by back tower stairs. All 3 of these attackers very separated, and actually without case control. I wonder if that's a mistake. As Exile peeks around, Aper gets his second kill, easy as you like. Here comes the Thermite of Sonar, able to capitalize upon Rethinking, but is that going to be enough with only 30 seconds remaining? Now Sonar is the last alive as his teammate gets blown to smithereens, and Aper confirms a triple kill. Aqualix take a very, very handed round number 1.
We'll talk about textbook Rome. Connor said this in the pre-show, trying to give us the idea of what this new Aqualix looks like. And, well, we just saw it on perfect display. As if Connor predicted this word for word. It's an aggressive Rome to start, sure. But immediately, they recoil back to site and they play it passive for the remainder of the round. This is nothing like the Aqualix of old, but man, is it paying off so far. At least in this first round, they looked dominant through and through. Some early aggression, some early extended positions that caught Okami off guard, and they simply could never recover. And Aqualix did exactly what they had to. Never give Okami the opportunity to bring that back. They never gave them 1v1 engagements. They went right back to the site. They held and sat down in a corner, using all the intel they had at their fingertips, and it was easy as it could be. Now switching, going to this top floor, they're going to be looking good again, pulling out Afer now over to the Valkyrie, an operator definitely more accustomed to this top floor site, and we'll see how Okami can remedy some of their entry problems from just that first round.
Yeah, if that persists, I can guarantee you that Aqualix is going to be taking full advantage of it. They're going to be extending all the way into Armory as well. They've got the crossfire through Master, plenty of shield setup, ADSs. They really want to hold on to this offsite position as long as possible. Trophy as well being set up. And we see this a lot from a lot of teams. And the strength of the Armory hold is that, one, if you don't know how to clear it, it's very difficult to, and two, well, it protects your trophy player. It makes trophy way more viable because the attackers can no longer just walk up Armory stairs and shoot him in the side. But unfortunately, we are once again going to have an issue from Okami, though it's not directly entry related. Lava is going to shoot Web in the back of the skull, and you have lost one of your hard breachers, as well as flashes.
Yeah, off to a bad start yet again with that opening pick. Likely Aqualix will start to play a little bit more passively, or at least one would think. CZ doesn't seem interested in that, though, as he is creeping his way towards Armory. Maybe interested in challenging Sonar as he swings on over towards the window. CZ knows that you take down Sonar and you really destroy any hopes Okami have, because that's both of your hard breachers gone. The next player to fall won't be Sonar just yet. It's Lava instead, who's on the receiving end of a couple of bullets from Gasher's Vector on that Goyo. Exile having rotated around to this big window, hoping to apply some pressure from elsewhere while the remaining two Okami players work their way in from Trophy. But yet again, this is a troubling beginning. Aqualix with 90 seconds still to just chill, kick back, and really just let Okami walk into their own graves, as Sonar will do so yet again. A perfect C4 from Gasher, shutting him down. The only player to find a kill so far will not be a factor in round number 2. It's going to all be on the shoulders of Raffi and Exile, as they have to go against 5, Rethinking holding close on this big window with a shotgun. Afer with a perfect C4 shutting down Raffi, and Exile is all that remains. Rethinking, Toxic Canister to delay this even further, but there is simply nothing Exile can do but sit back and hope somebody swings into him. Rethinking will do that, lighting up Exile in the process, but this round is as good as done. Aqualix, another very clean defense. Exile going to take the time to just sit back and, with these last 40 seconds, figure out what they did wrong.
Yeah, that 2 rounds in a row. Really rough from Okami. Every time they try to pressure into Trophy, one of them died. I mean, first it was a team kill on the Wev. Then you have Lava not being able to finish off Gasher. I mean, the C4 kills as well were just really beautifully played from Aqualix. There's not a lot you can do from Okami other than, I don't know, not stand there. But the point is, those C4 kills wouldn't have necessarily been available if Okami had more control and were moving faster. Especially, too, with Exile's position on Big Window. Because of those C4 kills, they're indirect. Aqualix doesn't ever have to expose themselves to him. And I hope this timeout, well, this pseudo timeout from Okami is enough to get them, get their bearings back, as it's 2 in a row from Aqualix, both very dominant.
Yeah, we really haven't seen much siege at all. It really has been Okami just walking in and Aqualix just collecting one kill at a time, making Okami just dig the hole they're in even deeper. And yeah, I don't think they make ladders that big to climb their way out. So 2 rounds now for Aqualix. Very strong, very dominant. And Okami need to really work through some kinks here and really figure out how to make some corrections, whether that's on the drone game, the comms, the coordination. There is a huge hole in this team right now. Only 2 kills have been found at all so far, and both of them have been empty exit frags. Sonar, of course, at the end of round 1, and an Exile towards the end of round 2. So now we're heading to the tertiary bomb site, though, so if there's any place where Okami have the highest likelihood of success, it would be here on kitchen and dining rather than kitchen and meeting. So far in CL, this stage, we've seen a lot more meeting. I don't know if we've even seen dining more than once. Even it's been really favoring that east side of the map. But Aqualix going with dining, going with that vertical control, and going with the small tower hold that we can see England now establishing.
Yeah, small tower holes are always really interesting. And I haven't actually seen a small tower hold be as successful as the one we saw in Stage 1 on Supernova when Frozen was on the team. Never have I seen a small tower hold go as successfully as that. Not to say they don't work, but they are very difficult to pull off. Okami, they've spotted it out. They know the Jaeger is playing aggressively to support as well. They're wary of perhaps someone playing in T3 of Tower. Of course, there is no one. They're going to try and establish this pinch. Now, one of the biggest moves of this attack will probably be Exile on the Flores. And wow, they shot that C4 out of midair. Gasher probably should have had at least 1, maybe even 2 kills there. But as Wab takes out the support of CZ, that leaves Gasher all alone. And he is now in quite the predicament.
Yeah, he's as good as dead here as long as Okami can keep up the pressure and hold his rotation. Afer hoping to support Gasher, but actually just getting lit up in the process. That's given Gasher at least a moment to rotate around and reposition, but it's going to take a miracle for him to find much of anything. Sonar, while distracted for a moment, has support from 3 different attackers, all holding down Gasher in the top of this small tower office. He'll be presented with a couple of opportunities here, but now full flashed, and here comes Raffi swinging on in, taking out those mute jammers, and Gasher with them. So finally, Okami are off to a good start of their own. Afer will be forced to rotate back to the site because this one is becoming rather iffy for Aqualix very quickly. All of a sudden, England now is going to have to make a quick retreat as he's just hoping nobody swings the doorway, and they don't. It's just a Yana clone with no real dangerous bullet potential from that area. But Rethinking actually tries to step on up and goes massive. He'll collect 2 kills. Okami caught sleeping. Actually, Afer has a chance here if he can find something. He's got the pings, but he does not have the chance. Raffi will shut him down, leaving England all alone now in a 1v3.
I am completely surprised that Rethinking got 2, but it might not matter. I mean, sure, the yokai drones are here, but they'll be easily spotted. And though he's got pings, England has to fight against 3 people. He'll find one. Raffi is now on the floor, but the plant is completed by Sonar, and all Exile and Sonar have to do is hold. But Sonar, as he peeks up, goes down. That leaves it on the floor as Exile needs to clutch up this 1v1. If they go down 3 rounds, that is going to be disastrous for their half. Exile knows he doesn't necessarily have enough time to go for the pickup on Raffi, but there's info for England. He's getting the pings. He's going to start swinging. The flash is not going to catch anyone, and he'll blindside Exile, but still lose the fight. How does Exile win that?
Oh, no.
What?
Oh, it was going so well. It was perfect.
I was ready to call the round for Aqualix. Like, it was about to leave my mouth.
It was, oh my.
And then England just lost the fight. Okay.
Lost the fight is a nice way of putting
it.
Wasn't much of a fight. It shouldn't have been a fight. It was a player with his back turned. But England will shake that off and maybe continue to bounce back with the rest of his team. You know, he's on that echo, on that support. Maybe for a reason. Maybe his aim's just not feeling too good today. Because yeah. That was rough. But moving on from that little incident, it was an Okami round. They did have a pretty good foothold on that the entire time until, of course, the post plant and that 3v1 situation where they really should have lost it, given the mistakes they did make, lack of awareness of the Echo drone in the first place, and then just not able to spot England when he was going for those swings and actually going for those fights. But they will take the round at the end of the day. They will get one attack, which on Oregon, as long as you win that tertiary site each time, in most cases, you're going to be okay, especially going into what is generally considered a pretty defensive-sided map, but this is one of those maps that goes with the tides, that some days is just incredibly defender-sided, some days dead even, and some days even, you'll even see an attacker-sided map. You really can see it all on Oregon because this map has been around for so long and teams know it so well, but it does seem that defensive-sided is in the cards, unless Okami can really change something up, right? Last time we were down here on the basement, they found a lot of trouble on this roam clear, but they are already taking steps rather, to remedy that. You've got a drone from Raffi, which is spotting out Gasher. He feels pressured, so he'll drop away, and no kill will be found this time.
Raffi,
well,
though, is going to get blindsided by CZ as he was staring up at a yokai drone. Again, I guess it's just poor drone work from Okami that's going to do him in, not knowing CZ was there. Once again, the entry woes plaguing this team, and CZ will find a second onto Wav as he just runs out the front door. This is how we know CZ loves to play, and in this system, it works out perfectly for him. The pre-fire from Afer nearly catching the player on the hatch, but I mean, once again, it's the same site, too. It's a two-man disadvantage for Okami.
Okami, I mean, this does not look like the caliber of team that took both aerial rise and one shot to OT. I mean, this is... obviously, we haven't seen the defensive side yet, and we're yet to see the execute in this round, but these are amateurish entry errors. They haven't been able to stop one player from just tearing them apart. Every round, it's a different defender who's just a thorn in the side of this attack, and, well, that story continues here in round number 4. They've got a minute 15 to work with, and they're going to rotate around and take up a variety of positions in order to do it, but after CZ gets lit up by Lava, he has the courage to just stare at that angle, and Lava was not prepared. He will go 0-4 as CZ collects a triple kill on the round. Now Gasher with a shotgun in hand will attempt to hold down Bunker, but it doesn't seem to matter because Sonar elsewhere will get shut down by CZ in response. Exile, last player standing, walks right into CZ's crosshair, and an ace is found in round number 4, not to mention a flawless round from Aqualix. Okami looking lost.
Not only was that an ace, how often, or when was the last time we saw an ace with Ella? That was insane from CZ. I mean, that's CZ. I mean, in a nutshell, if you've watched T3 for as long as I have, that is CZ. That is what he is known for. CZ tree-wise, as he says. And, I mean, no one from Okami could pin him down. It's been, again, an issue that's plagued Okami throughout the whole season is their entry game, and right now, in this match in particular, they're not doing a great job of shooting back, with the exception of round number 3. It just seems like every time Aqualix takes these aggressive gunfights, Okami are moving too slow to react to them properly. And I mean, we got guys like Lava, again, an entry player, who I know can do better, is 0-4. I mean, at the very least, you know, you've already taken one round. Okami really only need one more. If they can take this Dorms, you know, this Dorms attack, it'd be a huge help, but they've got to go against a similar setup. And last time they defended this, I think Gasher got 2 and Afer got 2, something like that. Okami, a big roadblock with the C4s.
Just to get that far, though, I mean, they still have a lot to work through. We talked about how, yeah, they corrected some of those problems in round number 3 when they were attacking from that small tower side of Dining, but those problems clearly still persist. Lacking confidence as well, because Gasher is going to apply a little bit of pressure going for a spawn peek out of that master doorway, and Wav, as the support, very careful to peek that angle, given that you really want your Hibana to stay alive this time, as he was unable to do so last time they had tried to attack this dorm's site. Now, I'd like to see Okami, go for that standard two-pronged approach. You've got that double hard breach for a reason. You can approach from attic, you can approach from master, you can get both of those angles set up early on, ideally before one of those hard breach players is killed. Now, that's what Sonar is going to be doing. He's entered here through T3. He'll be joined by at least one teammate on that endeavor, but they do have a little bit of an issue here, and that's going to be England. Quickly, Raffi will step up and go for this challenge, and that's good enough to force England away and actually secure attic control, because there's a rotate there after all. You don't have to waste that hard breach charge to get in.
That's going to be good for Okami, especially as they start to clear utility up, but that's not good. Afer, whether he dropped the hatch in kitchen or was downstairs the whole time, will come up and swing on Lava, who is now 0 and 5. You lose your Iana, you lose nades that were not used, and now the Valkyrie is going to make her way into small tower. Fighting against Exile,
Wow.
She wins that fight as well, despite Exile knowing exactly where she was. He'll light up Raffi outside the window, and Afer is just running amok, looking for another. He won't find it. Wav finally shuts him down, but the damage has been done. 2 players for Afer, and there's another as Gasher slinks down to recover the kill that Afer had missed on Raffi. Case is now dropped in small. It will need to be recovered by the 2 hard breachers of Sonar and Wav. They're both going to be coming from the east side onto Gasher. Gasher knows this, so he'll start to rotate away over towards the open door. C4 is still out on the wall, so, I mean, the attackers probably know someone's playing near there, but as Wav walks right in, he wins the fight. Okay. That was a little bit odd. Wav does take a decent amount of punishment, and what is there left for Okami to do but try and push, up towards Trophy with Wav covering from big window? These attackers very separated. I mean, there's pretty much no chance in hell that Wav is going to make it through this window alive, and as his teammate dies, it's just him. He'll get a 3rd kill of the round, but he'll swiftly be traded as Aqualix take round number 5.
This one's interesting, Harrison, because we talk about Oregon as a map that we don't love to see very often, but every once in a while, 2 teams will come out and give us an absolute banger of a map, right? Parabellum used to do that here on Oregon, where they would just come out and give us a good show. Harrison, you know what we're not seeing right now?
What?
A good show. I mean, this is atrocious. I'm gonna be completely honest. This is slow. This is bad. I mean, Okami, they are struggling with some fundamental stuff, and it's not changing. I mean, we have seen the same outcome almost every single round, barring the one round that Okami were able to take in round number 3. I mean, the progression of these rounds has been the exact same snail pace and atrocious result for Okami. It is just one death, a second death, and their attack falls apart. They're in a 3v5. They don't know how to recover it. It seems that they lose a sense of their objective of what they should be doing. Sorry for the rant, but I mean, this is a troubling start here on this map. Aqualix have such an advantage, and yes, Okami have a round, and they could be on their way to taking a second after this timeout. And that would be a fine half, but it certainly doesn't feel like that. It feels like Aqualix are running Okami all around this map.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. And it all starts with that entry game. Okami just haven't been able to make anything work in the early round. If you let Aqualix get the ball rolling, they're not going to stop. And, I mean, this is the last round Okami have to try and make some kind of amends. They're not going to be attacking Dining Room this time. There's a swap. It's Meeting. Definitely makes sense. Dining Room is kind of it's definitely less popular for a reason. And now that Aqualix aren't going for that funky small tower hold, okay. Gasher is going to nerf England for a sec, I guess, and put him down to 20 HP earlier in the round. So that's unfortunate, but luckily he's Bandit. He doesn't need to be alive to make use of his Bandit batteries. He needs to be alive for the C4, but, it's better than having someone like your Smoke down first. I also like the adjustment from Okami so far. The intel game from Aqualix has been incredible. It's been what's aided them in their super aggressive play and pushing back the attackers at every turn. And finally, Okami swaps to the IQ to try and find them.
Maybe it's too late, or maybe it is right on time for Okami to take their second round. Their final chance to prove that they can recover something on the attacking side and maybe muster a little bit of momentum going into their defensive side because they could really use that right now. At least get the mental reset, get back on track after this timeout and come out swinging, make Aqualix worried that you're going to come out on defense confident as well. So much could happen, really, if they're able to take this round, but they have a lot of players to clear out beforehand. The IQ is going to help you with actually removing some of that intel game, but you still have to drone out these tower side defenders. They will do that successfully, and in the meantime, take out Gasher, who, as the smoke, gets a bit too aggressive for his own good. You've now lost the one guy meant to deny the plant, meant to really delay that time towards the end of the round, and he is going to swing on garage door, and he is going to get slammed into the earth. So early on, Aqualix at a disadvantage, but Okami still have a lot of work to do. They've got to clear out CZ, who was aggressively holding tower, now whipping out that Nitro, which will get shot out on the other side of the wall, but he is not backing off just yet. Still holding this position, despite there being several attackers on the other side. Finally backing off with this exothermic charge going off and detonating on this wall and giving Okami maybe a little more control that they can work with. But CZ still lurking behind, not giving up so easily.
Rafi was just running across the breach. He scared me there, especially because CZ is still upstairs. You could have easily caught him if he was just peeking that a little bit wider. But, I mean, Okami have a good amount of control so far. Their entry was decent. You know, they got the first kill on the Gasher. That's the smoke. That's really important. Good that they didn't kill England first either, because England, playing near the wall, is going to be very susceptible to any damage. He'll get quickly flushed off by the vertical control that Afer is now challenging against Rafi. Neither player will land any shots as the meeting stage wall has now been opened via the thermite. Bandit battery is proving very ineffectual thanks to the vertical control. So Okami got a decent bit of time. They've got the control they need. They've got the man advantage. Is this where we finally see a successful execute?
OC4 could be huge, but Okami will back on off and remain unscathed. Still positioning on this stage wall. Now that it's open, they're going to go for this flash dump and likely the plant to follow. CZ will be down, so that is going to be a huge push into securing this control for Okami that they need. These last three defenders, they are just sitting, waiting for this plant to happen, waiting for the push, and they are waiting to just get shut down one by one. Sonar will line two of them up. It's going to be all up to Rethinkin, who can do nothing to deny the plant. He'll creep on up the green hall, and oddly enough, there was no coverage initially, but Lava, sensing there was a gap in that hold, will go for that swing, and will get the, actually, flawless round from Okami. So they really did bring that one back in the end, and they did secure the 2 rounds that they needed at a minimum. So Aqualix, despite having a 2-round advantage, still have a lot of work to do now that they shift onto the attacking side, and it's our turn to pick apart their attacks.
Yeah, so at least Okami take the 2-4. The 2 attacks they won looked pretty good. All the attacks they lost, they looked pretty bad. We'll see if it's the same story for AQ, whether it just happens to be an extremely defender-sided Oregon, as we head upstairs to dorms. First, of course, they will also be bringing the Valkyrie, probably every single round just because she's that strong. They've also got plenty of utility soak. The Aruni comboing with the 3 shields, as well as the Jaeger. Aqualix also bringing something that Okami had foregone the entire half, and that's the Nomad. They're going to forgo 1 hard breacher for her, though. So, you know, they have less walls that they'll be able to open, but they can keep their flanks a little bit safer. And CZ's also got the Twitch. Now, I do like the Twitch in theory, because, you know, Twitch just recently got buffed. She can shoot pretty much anything within range, or anything that she can see because of unlimited range, and she can pop Goyo shields. So in theory, she's really good. We just haven't really seen the best capitalization of Twitch so far, because again, her drones are very loud, very easy to spot. It's pretty difficult to sneak them in and get them in a place where they can actually do some decent utility clearing.
I mean, right there's a perfect example. It'll just walk in and Exile is staring right at it. Every defensive team now is a lot more on guard for drones generally, because the addition of the Flores as well. You've got those Rotero drones, which are even more potent than a Twitch drone if it is able to get into the site. So part of defensive comms now, you're identifying, hey, drone coming in from here, take that one out. Make sure somebody is holding this angle, not for a person, but for the Twitch drone or the Rotero drone as it comes around the corner. So just as they begin, CZ will lose that 1 drone like we highlighted, but for the most part, they will still be setting up for an eventual take. Now, It seems that they might know someone is tucked in armory. Yeah, England has that drone, and as it gets shot out, that means they're going to apply some pressure from below now. For trying to cook up that nade, potentially going to maybe try to bounce that up the hatch or play some vertical once they identify Rafi's position. And his job here is to delay time, but he has to be very careful because just like that, with a little bit of intel, Aqualix can clean him up very quickly. They will do that, but Exile will step on back and respond with a nice kill onto CZ. So the Twitch we talk so much about cannot be a factor any longer in round number 7.
The trophy position also now flushed out because Exile was pushed out of location. There's still a shield for Lava to play in by the attic doorway, but Aqualix have the control that they were initially going for with the minute 15, and the wall is already opened for them as well, with just an Aruni gate protecting it. Now, Exile is sitting right on top of the desk in the corner of this room. It's quite the off position. Not quite sure if the attackers will expect this. Of course, we'll have to see later in the round if they drone him out or not, because Exile is being very patient as of right now. One of the biggest things that I'm going to be looking for Aqualix is whether they have someone literally anywhere else. Because right now, it looks like all 4 of these attackers are attempting to funnel in through the breach and through the trophy door, which are 2 of the worst bottlenecks on the entire map. Sonar's going to continue to just smoke off the trophy door, delaying more and more time. In could come the Zoe of Rethinking, but again, he's being very tentative. Aqualix are playing this almost, honestly, I would say almost too patiently. They're just trying to wind down all these gas canisters. There's still a C4 from Lava we have to worry about as well. Exile, whose position was not known, will unfortunately whiff on Rethinking. The low damage of the Roni, he's probably cursing right now. More stuns come in. Sonar's going to be full white, not able to cover the breach as effectively as he wanted to, as Gasher takes a little bit of damage thanks to Lava. Here comes a swing on the white. It's going to be successful. The plant denied! Just in time from Sonar as well. All Lava has to do is hide. He'll see Aver for a second, and the clock will strike 0. Okami with round number 7. What a play by Sonar.
Oh my goodness. Cutting that one close as well because the Valkyrie nearly got spotted out, but really good heads up play to swing in, and with the one bullet he had before he got shot in the head himself was perfectly on to the planter. It was a textbook sacrifice play. They knew that if that plant goes down, there's pretty much nothing they can do to stop it, because once those attackers get through that bottleneck you talked about, Harrison, they pretty much have that control of the site, and then they can use the bottleneck to their own advantage. So Sonar made the play he had to. He just went for the wide swing. He took care of the player on the top white stairs, who was also covering that cross, and then he just goes for the bold play, aiming right at the planter, and clicks just in the nick of time. So Okami already off to a good defensive start. They'll claim their 3rd round. They'll take care of Dorms, no problem. Well, nearly no problem. And they will head downstairs now to basement. But overall, solid round. Harrison, you mentioned that Aqualix were getting a little bit lazy, maybe stalling out a little bit at the end. But I think that was in an attempt to somewhat remedy that bottlenecking problem you mentioned. They had to wait for somebody to go all the way around and rotate to the white stairs. Should they have had someone there in the first place? Probably. But at least they had that additional consideration, and they made sure everyone was set up before that 3-2-1 execute call actually goes out.
Sonar was able to make that play in time. I thought the moment he swung around, I thought it was a dead man, but he got like the single shot off onto Rethinking's head that he or not. Was that Rethinking? I couldn't tell if that was Rethinking or Gasher. Whoever's head it was that he needed. So well played. 3v4 now. Or sorry, not 3v4. 3-2-4. So Okami are inching their way to a tie scoreline. Although that win, I will have to say, was not very convincing. Not nearly as convincing as most of Aqualix's wins on their own defense. You know, if Lava wasn't already tucked in the corner he was in, he may not have been able to get away in time. Okami are yet again going to start decently forward, not completely on the next floor, but playing around the staircases, just wanting to pick off early drones, because they know with Aqualix's very aggressive playstyle, if Aqualix don't have enough info to go for the play they want, they usually suffer. And as Sonar gets a very early pick on the Afer, I really got to question why the Iana was already down laundry with no support.
Yeah, it seems that Aqualix want to just force their way in, brute forcing these engagements very early. I mean, it's barely even been 90 seconds, and we've got a couple of gunfights going the way of this attack now. CZ recovering what could have been an absolute disaster by lining up both Exile and Sonar one after another. Unable to use that Twitch drone successfully, but at least determined that, yes, there is somebody else retaking Freezer. The second Twitch drone will come on through, but that's not a Goyo shield, so it'll be unsuccessful at least in popping that. But right now, I mean, this is a lot of intel CZ is getting. They're getting a perfect look as to what is going on in this objective, and now using that and that wonderful F2 that he's got in his hands, now he'll be looking to frag out. They've got the advantage after all. Okami now in that 3v4 situation. And that intel is now looks like it's going to mean they're going to rotate around. They're going to rotate over to this E-box side, this north side. WAV is their really first worry on this defense, though.
And being down a man is not good, especially with the amount of time Aqualix have left. They're going to try and pressure down into Pillar now. CZ smoking off his crosses so he can drop into E-box and wreak havoc with the F2 following the stuns. Here he comes. Is there going to be anyone to catch him? WAV does find the player bunker. He's still got control of blue, but he will very quickly fall. CZ's been downed. There's no refrag just yet. It's just Raffi and Lava in a 2 versus 2 with CZ. I really don't know if they have the time to recover him, and well, he won't be recovered as he's shot through the softball. More gas canisters come out from Raffi. That's the last one. Gasher's going to have to just be forced to go for this plant. There's the C4 from Lava. Will it land? It forces him off the plant, but does not get the kill, and Gasher's allowed to reposition. Rethink can cover the cross, but Gasher swings out. Lava collects both. A big round for the Valk, and Okami tie up our score.
And that's the power of one single piece of utility in this game. Even though Oregon has looked messy so far, those are the moments that, personally, I really like to see. That single toss of the C4, even though Rethinking, I'm pretty sure he flicked and shot that out of the air,
so as well.
It forced that plant to relocate. And either he could have backed on off into E-box and then gone for the same plant spot again, but that's assuming, like, you just have to have full confidence in your teammate that they're going to hit the flick shot of their lifetime and take that C4 out, because you do not want to be anywhere close to that thing if it goes off successfully, hence the sprint across the objective. But what that means is now you're out in the open, you no longer have the coverage you need, and it's very easy for those remaining Okami players to just swing on you and shut you down. Great play from Exile, saving that C4 to the perfect moment, denying that plant, but really everyone else on Okami enabled that situation to occur in the first place. It was WAV who pushed on into bunker and took out the player pushing in from construction. That was England. A fantastic kill to free up a little bit more of that opening, and a great use of those toxic smokes to delay that Aqualix attack and make sure that when Exile tossed that C4, it would have its maximum impact.
Yeah, that 2v2 was, well, I guess technically 2v3. Really well played by Okami. I also like WAV's decision to not stick around in Pillar, and catch the guy moving into bunker as well. All in all, Okami's positioning in the 3v4 was really what won them that round, because, you know, even if Rethinking was able to get the refrag on the Lava, Raffi was literally right around the corner to find the trade. So now was the test for Okami, right? Both of Okami's attacking wins were on the tertiary sites. We'll see if we see the same thing from Aqualix, as now Okami have to prove that they are superior on the defense over Aqualix, and they'll prove it by winning this round right here. They've got the upstairs hold, but CZ is hitting the crouch walk through Z. Looking to make a play up white, but he's not long for this world. Just as I try to hype up his play, Raffi immediately shuts him down.
Yeah, crouch walking up the white stairs will only get you so far in ranked, but here, a team that was very prepared for that kind of play, especially for someone like CZ. They had the intel, and Raffi has the aim. So they'll shut him down and give Okami the early advantage, trying to solidify that defensive prowess, like you highlighted, Harrison, proving that they can indeed hold down this meeting and kitchen site. Everyone playing pretty loose on the defense right now. Okami, they're taking gunfights, they're swinging things, and they're trying to delay Aqualix as much as possible, because Aqualix are pushing in from this split side, this main lobby south side of the map, which means if they see even the smallest opening, they're just going to rush through split and go for this plant. That's why Okami is playing aggressive. That's why they're trying to maintain this map control, because they do not want Aqualix to even see the tiniest of openings to push on through.
Aqualix are truly stalling out right now. They're pretty much just staring in various directions and droning. We'll see if that's enough to alleviate their problems. As Afer gets one kill, Gasher moves through the breach, catches the tip of the head of Sonar, and will go for the plant. There's nothing from Okami to stop it. It looks like no peek is found. Exile goes down. So does Lava. It's just Raffi all of a sudden. Those 2 kills, or really just that 1 kill on the Sonar, was all Aqualix needed because no one from Okami was able to cover split. And now Raffi's staring down someone behind the bench. He'll take the head off of Rethinking, but he takes a great deal of punishment. Now he's got 3 attackers to find and just 1 HP. And as he swings around, he'll spot one, but there's someone at his back. And Aqualix take round number 9 and re-secure their lead.
Yeah, turns out Okami couldn't quite hold down meeting either. Even though they had that opening pick, it started to work its way back in the favor of the attacking team. And the instincts that Okami had to just apply as much pressure as possible and slow down that split take, they were absolutely right. Because we saw it exactly play out as they expected, right? The moment that those 2 kills were found, one just on that long angle, shutting down the stage player, that gave Aqualix the green light. They said, you know what? Nobody can stop this plant now. If the stage player's dead and we have at least some coverage towards that stage to green hall door, nobody can shut this plant down. You can't come from that kitchen rotate. We're watching that. You can't come from behind. We've got air jabs and we're watching our flanks. It was perfectly done from Aqualix and Okami, despite knowing that that split take was coming and knowing what they had to do. They couldn't quite execute that plan perfectly, and Aqualix were more than happy to seize that opening, get that bomb down, and finish out the round at the end of the day.
Yeah, that take from Aqualix definitely played right into the opposite of how Okami wanted to hold that. As soon as Sonar went down, it seemed like Sonar was the only linchpin holding that defense together. Now they're back up top. I'm a little bit worried for this round because Aqualix took this site pretty expertly, if we remember. And it really just came down to a little bit of a slow push and Sonar landing a shot that I didn't think he was going to. Okami are going to need a much more confident response if they want another win on this site.
They're not going to go for any confident spawn peaks at least, but playing this position that Raffi's now holding does take a good bit of confidence. Unfortunately, losing out that C4 and getting not even a single HP worth of damage for it is not the way they wanted to start, especially because they've got drones on Raffi's position and Afer is cooking up a nade. He won't be able to stop, or at least, wow, it looked like England with a claymore from where? A run out attempt from WAB is not going to pay off across the map, possibly. But regardless, that is not the way Okami wanted to begin. Raffi's now a little bit more careful about this position, but as I say that, he will hold the shift key and sprint his way back into Armory where the window was open and somebody was watching it. So Aqualix with this early advantage yet again.
Oh, he tried to run out small tower. Interesting. I mean, how many times have we seen Aqualix in a 5v3 man advantage now? They're starting to come up the main stairs. Exile does a little bit of damage to one. Sonar finds another through the open breach hole. He's going to be content to just keep swinging this, take the aggressive stance, trying to fight against Gasher as well, who's next up on the balcony to challenge the smoke. You've got England on tasked with Overwatch outside big window. He trades some shots with Sonar, but as Sonar retreats, he falls to Afer. Afer lands another one onto Exile, and it's just Lava now in a 1 versus 4. Trying to shut down England. He'll miss all of his shots. England fells him, and Aqualix take round 10, leading 6-4 and confirming a point.
Confirming a point, confirming match point now as they head to potentially the ultimate round of this series, unless Okami can pull something out. But like you highlighted, Harrison, their previous win on Dorms did not instill a lot of confidence, and Aqualix were certain to exploit that. They just rolled on in, continued with their game plan, and their game plan paid off. It looked like Sonar wanted to get aggressive a little bit earlier on, maybe, and it looked like the rest of Okami just tried to follow suit, maybe holding more aggressive positions than were, I guess, for their own good. And It's going to result in another loss, another defensive loss. That's 2 in a row now. Aqualix taking hold of that momentum, really looking good in these past 2 rounds, and now they just have to do it one more time. Going to laundry and supply room, though, that will be a tall task because Okami had a bit more of a confident performance here last time, looked a bit more certain that they were going to take the round. But still, I'm not going to count Aqualix out of this one because they have been defying, at least my expectations, this entire map so far, and it could continue here on match point.
At least Okami won this site, but I mean, again, even though the win looked really good, it was a 2v2 at the end. Okami haven't had a single dominant round since their win on meeting, which was flawless. It's been a struggle for them so far. Aqualix looked to be pretty much in firm control throughout the majority of Oregon.
10 seconds remaining.
Now, I don't suspect CZ is going to just walk down freezer stairs and kill 2 people again. So, you know, Okami might be a little bit safer in that sense, but they're playing pretty much the same strategy, and Aqualix should be prepared for it.
Okami are at least prepared for some of the antics that Aqualix are bringing, namely the Ying, right? We see the immediate counter with the Warden. So, at least Sonar is thinking here, but it does mean that you lose out on your Goyo, right? Sonar forced to make that 6th pick means that all of that shield utility you'd like to have is not going to be a factor. And Harrison, what was that you said about CZ not walking down the stairs at the beginning of the round? Looks like he will do so, and yes, he'll get a kill, but it will cost him his life. And maybe give Aqualix an opening they need. Thankfully for Okami, their life will be saved by a perfectly timed toxic smoke from Raffi, which will stop those next 2 players from following in CZ's footsteps. But Aqualix are playing this one a little bit more aggressive. This one feels a bit more like the Aqualix of old. Even though England's here and in control of this roster, they are eager and they are playing aggressive, already taking some early gunfights. And even though it's only been about 70 seconds gone in this round, Aqualix, it feels like they could spring into action at any point.
It really feels like this round has gone on longer than it actually has. I mean, we're not even at the halfway point yet. There was a pretty quick burst of energy in the beginning. You're thinking going to be breaking the bar. Raffi really wanted to swing up there, but luckily England had the cover and dissuaded the smoke from pushing up. So Raffi will end up just sending out a gas canister and slinking back down into Harry Potter. He's still got 1 in his pocket, but there's still 1:15 remaining, and Lava is no longer alive. He was the first pick, so there's no more C4 potential for Okami, and that could potentially be worrying considering how important it was in their previous win of this site. More drones are coming in as well, trying to spot out the players inside the bomb site, discover where all these anchors are so Aqualix can actually make a solid plan of attack. There's 50 seconds now, and I imagine Afer will probably be going for a similar play as we saw CZ do as the Twitch, where he just drops straight into E-Box, and England should be prepared for Wav to move into his blue as well.
Well, rethinking still in this standoff on the tower stairs. Finally, something happens as England is the one to light up the scoreboard. Gasher uses this moment to drop on in and deal with Raffi. Wav has an answer, but so does Afer. Exile last alive against 3, and England is quick to clean him right up. And with a round 11 victory, Aqualix move ahead and finish out the match. They will defy our predictions, and they will win this one 7-4. OT Okami is no more. They're going to lose this one in regulation.